So mga kababayan, nagkaroon ng press briefing ito si Senate President Mig ZUBIRI patungkol sa sa issue ng sugar. At dito tinawag niya si Serfica, itong head ng SRA na Notorious, matigas ang ulo dahil sa kabila ng hindi niyo matandaan pinahayag din ni Senador Mig ZUBIRI na dalawang malaking grupo din o yung nagpo-produce ng asukal doon sa Negros, nag TNRO itong order number 3 ni Serfica kasama itong si Sebastian, pero ipinilit pa rin nila na mag-import. Ang dahilan nila dito sa Quezon City wala naman daw, doon lang sa Negros. Imagine mo mga dahilan nila. Kaya dito sa Manila ginawa nila yung nila kung saan nag-file ng TRO doon sa part ng ibang lugar ay doon lang. Pero dito sa Manila itinuloy nila. 'Di ba? 'Yun ang paliwanag kasi ni kahapon ni ginawang hearing. So, sabi ni Senador Mig ZUBIRI, notorious at matigas ang ulo itong at saka hindi talaga nila ginawa at nagtataka talaga ang mga senador kung sinong sa likod ng mga tao na ito, na bakit nila ipinipilit na ang importation. Talagang nangyari parang gusto nilang ibagsak ang magsasaka sa atin at saka ginagawa nila ay sinasabotahe nila yung gusto nilang itago yung magkukunwaring shorted tayo sa asukal para tataas yung presyo, maging in demand, no? Tumataas yung presyo. Imagine mo pala mga kababayan, ang kuha nila sa magsasaka natin, yung mga nagmi-milling doon sa o kumbaga kuha nila sa farmers doon sa Negros ay 40 pesos per kilo lamang. Tapos ibinibenta nila sa market ng 110 kilo. Mantakin mo kung gaano kalaking tubo sa mga gahaman sa pera itong mga tao na ito. So sana maayos itong SRA na ito, no? At ikulong yung dalawang buaya diyan sa SRA na yan. Huwag niyong patawarin mga kababayan. Huwag na sana hanggang dinig lang, nakitang-kita naman natin. Sana ituluyan niyo na ito mga senador. Tuluyan niyo sampahan ng kaso o di kaya i-firing squad niyo, ikaladkad niyo sa kalsada, ikudkod yung mukha nila sa simento para wag sanang pamarisan. Huwag na kayo, napakarami niyo ng pagdinig diyan sa Senado na wala naman tayong nakitang improvement. 'Di ba? Peace DBM. Grabe kayo tumira nun, wala din naman nangyari, 'di ba? Hanggang ngayon, wala. Dapat ay magkaroon kayo ng sample, hindi yung hanggang dinig lang. Ipakita niyo na yung pagdinig niyo ay talagang makatotohanan sana. So alam mo na ang video natin mga kababayan at panoorin niyo itong napakagandang press briefing ni Senador Mig ZUBIRI.
The regional trials courts in Negros Occidental. 2 courts issued a TRO. They bypassed the TRO. They proceeded with the importation. Matigas ang ulo. Kaya nga sabi ko, notorious. Notorious po, with due respect, no? Notorious po ang leadership ng SRA at the time in
pushing. But you think it would have reached that point had Executive Secretary Rodriguez simply answered the question of former Undersecretary Sebastian, whether it's a go or not? If he had simply said not yet, then this whole thing would not have happened.
You have to remember that Executive Secretary Rodriguez is a lawyer. He's not a farmer, nor is he a member of the stakeholders team. If you were in that position, wala kang alam sa situation, mas mabuting magtanong muna at mag-imbestiga kung kailangan talaga natin mag-import na ganito karami. And that's what he did. He could have said yes, push through the importation, but he did not answer because he went back to his principal, which is the president. At sabi ng presidente, no, do we need to import that much? Yan ang sagot ng presidente sa amin. Sabi niya, I said, no, do we need to import that much? Ganito kadami ba kailangan natin import? Hindi ba natin ito pwede ma-source locally? At nagulat na lang ang Pangulo, nung pagpunta namin dyan sa meeting, pinakita ko po sa kanya yung hawak-hawak dokumento galing sa SRA na 127,000 or so bags, metric tons are still in the bodegas, hindi pa na ilalabas. So what shortage? Sana kung sinabi lang nila, 10,000 metric tons na lang naiwan. E di, ako din, sasabihin ko sa inyo, mag-import na tayo. Pero 127,000 metric tons is a lot of sugar. That is good for 2 months for the industrial users. at least to tide us over to the milling season, which has already started now. Pero, what you call this, the worst case scenario, magkakaroon pa rin tayo ng importation, pero hindi na ganun karami. Ang tinitingnan po ng industry is between 100 to 150,000. And ang suggestion po namin sa Pangulo, para hindi na po magkaroon ng tongpats, hindi na ipaparaan pa rin sa SRA ang sugar order and the importation order. But give the importation order to the end user. Let the end user find the importer to bring it in. Diba? Kasi nangyayari, SRA accredits the importers. Diyan. Yung accreditation dyan, alam mo naman.
Pero sir,
Will you pursue that?
Yeah, we will pursue that.
Yung tongkat.
Definitely, we will pursue that angle because we want to get rid already of this practice that, for example, practice that there are only a certain number of exporters that are bringing it in. Importers. Ito lang po. We will pursue it. Why? Because nakakaduda din na tinanggal po nila yung performance bond. Diba? In-admit po nila. They took out the performance bond. The performance bond was to make sure that you deliver the sugar to point A to point B sa industrial user. Pag na-deliver na yan, ibabalik yung performance bond ng SRA sa'yo. Eh na yun, wala silang performance bond. So, obviously, wala silang performance bond. So, obviously, a performance bond. So,
the blanket authority, sir.
Blanket authority pa na the
Convert.
SRA administrator was given the sole authority. Never been done before. Never been done before with the other sugar orders that only one person makes a decision to reclassify.
So to reclassify from industrial to household.
From reserve sugar, which is held in the bodega, to B sugar, which is domestic use. So it's within his power to say, I will allocate to you this amount of sugar, B sugar, for domestic use. Sa isang tao lamang, which is vested to the board. Kaya nakakapagduda. We have to put in the safeguards for the next, for sugar orders and next issuances of licenses and permits.
Pero sir, dun sa...
Yes, sa bombo, radyo natin.
Sir,
Basta radyo bombo.
sabi mo kanina, hindi ka, sabi mo kanina nung press ko, hindi ka bobo. Pero kumisido ka na the mere SRA administrator can do it by himself na walang mas maraming tao. With this, the bulk na 330,000 metric tons.
He's been doing it na eh. He did it na with SO3 eh.
Mas mabilis
If you
pa nga
notice,
daw,
I gave
sir.
a privilege speech. Di ba nag-privilege speech ako sa importation? I gave a privilege speech and a press release on SO3 na at this point in time, nag-harvest pa tayo ng asukal. Bakit pa natin kailangan mag-import ng 200,000 metric tons? It was seconded by all the farmers' organizations. Nag-file sila ng TRO under the regional trials courts in Negros Occidental. 2 courts issued a TRO. They bypassed the TRO. They proceeded with the importation. Matigas ang ulo. Kaya nga sabi ko, notorious. Notorious po, with due respect, no? Notorious po ang leadership ng SRA at the time in pushing for importations. Kaya sabi ko, you cannot blame us for pointing our fingers to SRA Administrator Serfica when we already hailed our objections on SO number 3. May dalawang regional trial courts na nagbigay ng temporary restraining order and hindi nila pinansin yun, tinuloy po nila ang importation. Kaya, notorious na po ang administration ng SRA at the time for this type of activities. Kaya nung nangyari pumulihan, talagang sabi namin, mag-resign na po sila. Kasi huling-huli na at it was classified as illegal by Malacanang. What they had done.
Sir, what do you... Sir, sabi niyo nga po, parang wala namang kinalaman si S. Rodriguez dun sa import order or sugar order. Pero what do you make of his admission, sir, na he himself ordered the drafting of the importation plan or import plan and he got the draft order po August 5.
The draft is different from the order signed. The draft kasi you have to show. And you have to approve the draft before you all sign. Ay lumabas order na eh. Diba? Yan yung sinasabi
Pero
ko.
sir, di ba based
Ang,
din
ang
yun
sabi
sa
ni ES, you come up with a draft, come up with a plan, come up with a draft. Pero, ang nilabas po nila ay order na. They wanted to read the draft. So, they jumped the gun. Na-excite po sila, ginawa pang sikreto.
Pero sir, pinakikita lang doon sir na meron talaga necessity to import. So nagkakatalo lang sir as to how much has to be imported po.
Well, depending on who you talk to, depending on who organization you talk to, may grupo, like kahapon, may grupo po nagsabi na hindi po tayo kailangan mag-import. Actually, if you ask me, dapat may SRP ang refined sugar. Meron talagang profiteers nag-hoard. Kasi yung raw sugar, binibili nila sa farmers na 40 pesos per kilo. Guys, 40 pesos per kilo. Tapos binibenta nila ng 110. Sino naman kumita ng 70 pesos per kilo na yan? Diba? Colonel, medyo nakakalula na yan. May kumikita na sobrang laki. When you bring your raw sugar, I'll explain to you guys. When you bring your raw sugar to the refinery, you are a trader, the charge is only between 10 to 15 pesos per kilo to refine. So, ang kalalabasan niyan, it's within 50 pesos to 55 pesos per kilo refined sugar from the farm gate. So, sinasabi nga nilang pwedeng 60 pesos yan kasi yung kikitain naman ng supermarket ay 5 pesos per kilo para may kita din yung supermarket. Kaya sinasabi nila, dapat 60 pesos lang talaga yan. Pero bakit binibenta ng 110 na may asukal talaga? Maybe the new SRA administrator, together with the new board, should really do the survey, conduct a survey of all the traders and the bodegas to make sure that it is continuously brought out to the public, and to flood the markets with the sugar para wala na pong ganitong klaseng tinatawag na artificial shortage. Kaya tumataas ang presyo ng asukal. So, yan ang kailangan natin gawin. And kaya, I think, ang kumikita dito, itong mga unscrupulous individuals na nag-hoard, nagpa-price manipulation, ang style po nila, hinihintay para umangat ng 110 pesos ang per kilo, ilabas nila yung refined sugar nila, make a large profit, and then copy-paste, do it again next year. Ganun lang yun. At the expense of the Filipino people, at the expense of the consumer, and at the expense of the farmer.
Sir, yung limitation na lang sa pagdinig po ka sa overpriced laptop naman.
Well, again, it is our favorite agency, PSDBM. I told you guys I'm in favor of abolishing the PSDBM and other agencies such as that who have sole control of government transactions that should be done by the government agencies themselves. Katulad ng binanggit ko nga kung binigay po yan sa DepEd, at least alam po ng DepEd ang specifications ng pangangailangan nila. Hindi po sila kukuha ng mabagal na computer, defective na computer, dahil kakatahin po sila ng mga teachers. Di ba? Kakatahin sila ng mga teachers pinasa nila sa DBM, PSDBM. Ngayon, sinong kakatahin ng teachers? Pasa-pasa nila. You're passing the blame. It's a blame game. So let's abolish PSDBM once and for all. Let us also punish them for previous shenanigans. If this is one of them, we will request the chairman of the Committee on Public Accountability, Blue Ribbon, Senator Tolentino, to come up with the proper charges and let us file it. Let us file it with the ombudsman para matigil na po ito. Ganitong klaseng modus operandi ng government officials din.
Sir, doon po sa importation, sir, di ba doon sa import order, 300,000 metric tons. Eventually, sir, ang utos ni Presidente, mag-import pa rin, pero 150,000.
Yes, and with the mechanism, kasi nababasa ko rin yung mga comments, totoong patch din nila yung 150,000 yan. Hindi, ang recommendation namin, kung kailangan ng Coca-Cola ng 50,000 metric tons, give the import order. Give the import order to Coca-Cola. Ikaw na bahala dyan. You can import 50,000 tons. Diretso na. Sila lang maghanap ng importer kasi doon nagkakaroon ng tompats doon sa importer.
Pero
diba?
sir,
Sino man bibigay sa'yo ng permit, yan ang sabi nila na nangyayari, pwede mangyari. I'm not saying it's being done. I'm not saying that they're doing it. because we do not have proof at this point in time. Hopefully, in the next few hearings, we can have a clearer picture of that. But what I'm saying is, it is a possibility that the importer can come to a particular person, ask for the import permit with a little bit of.
Yung tongpas na previously you mentioned in your...
Yes, yan ang sinasabi sa akin ng mga industry insiders na pwede mangyari. Kaya, to avoid that, ease of doing business. Ano yung ease of doing business? Wala nang government na makikialam. Diretso na. Less government transaction, less government na nakikialam dito sa transaction to the best. Just give Coca-Cola the import order, let Coca-Cola import the 50,000 metric tons, and diretso na sa bodega nila. Hindi katulad na yun sa SO number 2. We will bring in 200,000 metric tons of Butler's grade refined sugar for our industrial users. Hindi umabot. Nagulat yung Coca-Cola, sabi ng Coca-Cola, nandyan pala yung mga, nandyan pala yung asukal na dinideliver sa amin. So, ibig sabihin, may gumagawa ng kalokohan dahil baka siguro palampasin nila yung Coca-Cola, meron silang stock, ibibenta locally sa domestic market at that high price.
Sir, may criminal sorry.
Diba? So, isn't that a good idea na sila na lang?
Yes, sir. Pero sir, may criminal intent kaya dun sa ginawa nilang 300,000 metric tons? So, simple mistake ng computation kung
under
ilan
the
ang
law,
kailangan.
well, first of all, we're looking at certain violations of law under the Graft and Crop Practices Act, Anti-Smuggling, Anti-Hoarding Act, Agricultural Smuggling and Hoarding Act, violations of the SIDA law, kasi meron din pong violations ginawa nila doon. For example, yung pag-shortcut itong process, are there violations to the Graft and Crop Practices Act when apparently under the rules and practice, this should be thoroughly vetted out with the staff and management, particularly to the deputy directors of the SRA. Hindi nila ginawa. Ginawa po nilang sikreto. Tapos ginamit pa nila yung pangalan ng presidente. That is a usurpation of authority and duties. So, definitely, I see certain violations of law. And I cannot comment on any further kasi it is now the chairman, Senator Solentino, who is a very good lawyer, who will come up with a particular violations of law.
Sir, may violations na kahit hindi na tuloy.
Yes, kasi that was an official order. Hindi na tuloy yung importation, pero that was an official order. Lumabas yung order. Dinabas nila sa website. Duly signed and notarized by these individuals.
Kami notary din pala.
Sir,
So,
kayo po ba sa book nun, nafe-feel nyo rin yung adverse effects, yung mga ganitong activities sa SRA, these questionable policies on importation, or mali?
kasi yung problema kasi ng commodities is a balancing act. Alam mo, napakahirap sa commodities like rice, sugar, corn, yung talagang kailangan natin mga kababayan, lalo sa pagkain. No? Kailangan meron po tayong balancing act kung saan tinitignan po natin ang kapakanan natin mga magsasaka at ang kapakanan ng consumer. Naghahanap po tayo ng paraan na localize muna ang bilihin ng, or source ng ating supply ng pagkain, at kung hindi kaya, pwede po tayo mag-import. Halimbawa, sa bigas, napakarami po natin rice farmers sa Nueva Ecija, sa Zambales, sa Central Luzon, Pampanga, na pag-import po tayo ng import, sila po ay dehado at talagang kawawang-kawawa. So, gusto po natin na tulungan po sila. At the same time, ilimit natin yung presyo ng bigas sa merkado. So, that is a careful balancing act. But I will always err the side of local production. Bakit? Food security is not only pricing. Food security is self-sufficiency. Ibig po sabihin, kung gusto po meron tayong pagkain palagi, kailangan alagaan natin yung ating mga magsasaka. Kasi kung tumigil na po sila sa pag-aani nitong mga produktong ito, pag nagkagera po yung nagkaletse-letse na at nagkagera na iba't ibang bansa at wala na po tayong makukunan ng pagkain, ng fuel or gasolina, at et cetera, wala, magkakagulo dito sa ating bansa. That's why it is important that food sufficiency, food security is also food self-sufficiency. So, wag po natin abandonahan ang ating mga magsasaka.
SP, one question lang.
Sure.
Hindi niyo ba nakikita
Kumain ka na, no? Nawala ka
Hindi,
eh.
kay Sir Lisa.
Tumakas na tumakas.
Hindi naman, di ba kumakain eh. Tumakas.
Napansin talaga.
Sorry.
Sir, don't you see any proof or some evidence na si former Yusek Sebastian or maybe even admin Serfica were just victims or fall guys on this controversy? Kasi sabi nga nila, they just did their job.
Alam na ni administrator. I just met Yusek Sebastian, so I do not know the character of Yusek Sebastian. Pero administrator Serfica, time and time again, alam po ng staff po namin yan, has been getting complaints from the industry that he's always favoring importation. The buong sugar sector. Ngayon, alam po niya yun. Kaya nga tinago niya po, di ba? He said na tinago po niya ang paggawa nitong sugar order number 4. Why the secrecy? Kasi alam niya maraming aalma at magagalit na stakeholders. So, if there's criminal intent, I do not know. We'll try to prove it. But definitely, tinago niya po ito sa stakeholders na hindi po tama. Because siya pong representative ng sugar industry sa gobyerno. And this has been a complaint already by many stakeholders through a series of press releases, statements. It's not only me. Remember a few months ago, Senator Amy Marcos. Di ba, Senator Amy Marcos came out also with a statement. It's on the website. Senator Amy Marcos came out with a statement also condemning the plan to import during the milling season. Again, baka na po yan, please, Administrator Serfica. So, notorious na po ito. If you ask the industry, medyo notorious na po itong SRA na ito, particularly Serfica, on his plan to import, continuously import, rather than look at the needs of the farmers. Kaya di ba sinabi nga ni Senator Cynthia? Sabi ni Senator Cynthia, and I quote, Administrator Serfica, kung ginawa mo lang yung katungkulin mo sa batas na ginawa po namin na SIDA Law, Sugar Industry Development Act, hindi ito mangyayari dahil lalakas ang ating mga magsasaka. Bakit palit ang budget ng SIDA? Yung budget ng SIDA under the law is 2 billion a year to help the farmers modernize, help them with their inputs, their training. Alam mo na yun, 600 million na lang. Pababa. It used to be 2 billion, naging 1 billion, naging 800 million, ngayon 600 million yan. That is the failure of Serfica to implement the Sugar Industry Development Act. Why is it going down continuously every year? Kasi sabi ng DBM, hindi daw ma-absorb ng SRA ang function nila under the law. In other words, hindi nila ginagawa ang katungkulan nila ayon sa batas. Kaya pababa ang bigay po ng DBM sa kanila. Ng pondo para sa industriya.
Ang likelihood, sir, si former admin Serfica will be recommended by the committee to be charged.
I don't want to preempt the committee at this point in time, but as I said, we're looking at malfeasance, misfeasance, violations of Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, and several laws that we have passed in the recent years, in the last 3 years, that deals with agri-smuggling, hoarding of sugar, price manipulation, and the like. So, of course, the regulation of duties. Obviously, they did not do their homework when they brought in, they just newly minted and newly signed SO number 3. They were not even able to trace where the sugar was. And nagulat po siya kahapon na, daming asukal. Hindi niya alam kung saan yung pina-import nila asukal galing sa ibang bansa, which is the function of the SRA to inspect all the bodegas, to make sure that it is distributed to the proper industry stakeholders. Kaya, alam mo, malabo po yung mga explanation. I think they'll have to explain it eventually later on.
So yan mga kababayan, yung linaw ng pahayag ni Senate President ZUBIRI ay dapat, managot talaga itong mga dalawang buwakang na ito diyan sa ano, sa SRA 'no, Sebastian at Serfica. Dahil napabayaan talaga nila ang kanilang trabaho. Hindi lang sa larangan ng, Notorious ang galaw nila, parang may mali sa ginagawa nila talaga, parang wala silang paki. Parang kulang na lang na sabihin natin na wala silang malasakit sa bansa. Ang iniisip nila yung sarili nilang kapakanan. Ito yung mga taong walang ano, walang puso, 'no. Kasi kung tutuusin lang ay napakaraming gampanin nila, 'di ba? Ang gampanin nila na, sa tulungan itong farmers natin lalo na sa part ng mga tubo kasi sa itong mga 'yan, itong SRA kasi, sa ano ito, sa larangan ng asukal. Sana tinulungan nila yung dun sa Negros kasi karamihan sa Negros mayroon din sa Tarlac, mga kabayan. Pero ang kapital kasi sa ating bansa ay nasa Negros, sa part ng, Negros, lalo na diyan sa part ng, Victorias, Tubuso, ayan talaga ay tubo. Puro katubuhan 'yan diyan, mga kababayan. At ngayon ay tila napabayaan na lang, dahil nga, kulang ng, suporta ng gobyerno. Parang walang paki kasi, "Bahala na kayo diyan, wala kaming paki basta't pagka walang asukal mag-i-import kami." Kaya yung bansa natin, mga kababayan, kinukulang ng mga pagkain. Lahat na lang 'no? Parang ang nangyari kasi, lahat na lang ay iaasa natin sa import. Na samantala tayong nag-i-import dahil nga yung lugar natin agriculture country tayo, Pero sana tayong nag-i-import pero baliktad tayong tayo dapat tayong nag-i-export 'no? Tayo sana ang nag-i-export, hindi tayo sana umi-import. Pero baliktad, Sa halip na tayo mag-i-export, tayo nag-i-import ng pagkain. Dahil nga pabayaan ng mga buwakang itong mga tao na ito na 'pag sa ako lang sa'yo sarap yan igusgusong mukha sa semento, Kahit saang anggulo, kahit anong paliwanag nila, mga kababayan, na gagawin ay nakikita natin na mayroon silang napakalaking kasalanan nila sa taong bayan, hindi lang sa taong bayan kundi sa batas, 'no? Dapat yan igusgus yung mukha nila mula 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 ano, ah, mula yung Muntinlupa to EDSA para madala ang mga ito. Nakakalungkot, puro sila dahilan, puro palusot, mga kabayan. So mamaya meron silang pagdinig, so try natin kung maka-ano tayo. So yan muna ang ating video sa araw nito. Maraming salamat.